growers, and companies who import olive oil to the U.S. are suspicious. Bob Bauer is the president of the trade group that represents foreign producers. He's especially wary of the taste test results.
The people who do this type of testing, they can readily tell if an oil's from the Mediterranean, from California, or from Australia, since they most likely knew who was paying for them to conduct this test. It had to create some sort of bias.
As for the science, Bauer's group has done their own chemical tests. He says his company's labs in Spain found very few problems. All this fighting over virginity isn't much help for consumers trying to decide which bottle to put in their grocery basket. There are no regulations governing the purity of olive oil.
You know, when you go down an olive oil aisle, there may be 40 different olive oils. And you've got to kind of decide, you know, is it worth paying the $16.99 versus the $9.99?
Rain Peg is with the U.S. Department of Agriculture. The agency wants to create consistency in the marketplace, so it will update its definitions of virgin and extra virgin olive oil this October.
It actually creates a level playing field in the U.S. when marketing products. So processors can begin to use this to certify that what I'm selling you is really what the label says on the front.
But the new standards are voluntary. They only apply to companies that want to put the USDA seal of approval on their product. And that's not a big marketing plus for foreign olive oils, who've come to rely on images of verdant olive groves or Tuscan villas on their label. In Davis, California, I'm April Demboski for Marketplace.
Coming up, the pain caused by the Gulf oil spill.
I mean, I literally ache behind my knees when I think about the death of so many, sea creatures.
And BP might have to pay her for that. But first, let's do the numbers. Troubling reports on jobs and manufacturing crushed the markets today. The Dow slumped 1 1/3%, 144 points to close at 10,271. The Nasdaq barreled down 1 2/3%, 36 points to end at 2178. And the S&P 500 crumbled 1 3/4%, 18 points to finish at 1075. Staples slid 3.5% after it announced flat sales in the second quarter. OfficeMax unclipped more than 5%. Software security firm McAfee locked in a 57% gain on the news of that merger with Intel that we mentioned earlier. Intel chipped off more than 3%. Hewlett-Packard and Dell were both more than 1% lower ahead of their earnings releases. Bonds rose. The yield on the 10-year T-note fell to 2.57%. And you're listening to Marketplace.
Marketplace is supported by T. Rowe Price, understanding the connections of a complex global economy. T. Rowe Price, invest with confidence at troweprice.com. By the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, working to strengthen America by empowering more young people to achieve educational success beyond high school. And by Progressive Insurance, helping people shop for car insurance at 1-800-PROGRESSIVE and progressive.com.
This is WBUR, Boston's NPR news station. Coming up tonight and On Point with Tom Ashbrook in the first hour at 7 o'clock, Iran's nuclear interest and what the international community is prepared to do about it. And in the second hour at 8, the art of ice cream. That's On Point tonight here on WBUR. We're funded by you, our listeners, and by Cambridge Trust Company, primary supporter of Marketplace on WBUR, offering wealth management services. There is more to managing your wealth than simply managing your assets. CambridgeTrust.com. The MathWorks, creators of MATLAB and Simulink technical computing software, dedicated to accelerating the pace of discovery in engineering and science worldwide. MathWorks.com. And Proto-Brand, announcing the Proto-Brand 25, a ranking of New England's most powerful brands. Learn who they are and what makes a brand powerful at Protobrand.com.
This This is Marketplace from American Public Media. I'm Tess Vigland in for Kai Risdal. Tomorrow, Libya will mark the first anniversary of the controversial release of the Lockerbie bomber. Abdel Basset El Megrahi was serving a life sentence for the 1988 bombing of Pan Am Flight 103. 270 people, most of them Americans, died in the attack. But last year, El Megrahi was set free from a Scottish jail after just 8 years. Now a Senate committee is investigating whether the release happened for business reasons, to benefit the British oil giant BP. From London, Stephen Beard reports.
It was billed as an act of compassion. 1 year ago, Scotland's Justice Minister Kenny MacAskill released the Lockerbie bomber on the grounds that he had less than 3 months to live.
On the basis of the medical evidence given to me, I have returned them to Libya to die.
But 1 year later, Al Megrahi still isn't dead. The decision to set him free now looks naive at best. Professor Robert Kirby is a cancer specialist.
It was a big mistake to let him out on the premise that he would be dead within 3 months. That was always likely to end up to be embarrassingly wrong.
Kirby says the decision did not take into account the obvious possibility that Al Megrahi would receive chemotherapy in Libya. Critics claim the release is incredibly suspect, especially since Britain's biggest oil company, BP, has acquired drilling rights in Libya. US Senator Robert Menendez is chairing a Senate investigation raising questions about the case.
What were the circumstances that led to Al Megrahi's release? Did BP play a role in those factors because of a deal with Libya to the tune of $900 million?